Everybody, this Shiur B'ezrat Hashem is going to be Leilun Nishmat Shlomo and Rivkah, also Leilun Nishmat or Bat Tefa and Lehavdil Refuah Shelema of Kelly Rivkah Bat Gila. So we complete Refuah Shelema Mimhera. Today we want to talk about the inyan of we're still in the days of Omer, leading into Lag Omer, still mourning for the 24,000 Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva that passed away. And when we look at this tragedy in quality versus quantity, this is probably the biggest tragedy that ever happened since we became a nation till today. Because we know that every one of these Talmidim, they were compared to thousands and thousands of people, of regular people. They could be Mechayim Etim, you're talking about Tanaim Kedoshim. So we could think about them as like 24 billion people, if you want to think about it that way. Because the amount of Torah that they knew, it says in the Gemara, after they passed away, the world was empty, meaning it was going to be destroyed. There was no Torah until Hashem had Rahman on us and sent Rabbi Akiva to the south and found 5 new Talmidim, Baruch Hashem, Rabbi Shiur bar Yochai, Rabbi Meir bar Anes, Rabbi Yusuf ben Chalafta, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, and Rabbi Yehuda bar Eli, and some say Rabbi Nechemiah. And from these 5, we have all the Mishnayot today, Baruch Hashem. And we know that tonight, this also should be for Leilun Nishmat of 12 the Tanaim, that is your side, according to some, Rabbi Yehuda bar Eli and Rabbi Meir bar Anes. So, having said that introduction, we want to talk about how we could undo the Sinat Chinam and the lack of kavod that was happening at this time, which according to the Chafetz Chaim, when a person could say something good to his friend and he doesn't, it's like saying Lashon Hara, and it's a form of Sinat Chinam. And on their level, that's what they were responsible for, the Talmid of the Talmid Chachamim. So comes Rabbi Yishab ben Parasha, which was one of the earlier Tanaim, and he says a person should kaneh lecha chaver, he should buy himself a friend, and done it kol adam lekav zechut. That's the section that we want to focus on. The story behind this is that he says that he should judge every person lekav zechut. Yeah, on the kaf, on the side of merit, not on the side of chova. The story behind this, some say, is that we know that his talmid was none other than Oto Ish, which turned out to be J.C. Penney, unfortunately, in the end. Now, in the beginning, this person, Yeshu, as we call him, J.C., he was actually a Talmid Chacham, and he was learning under the Tanakh Kadosh of Yeshua ben Parasha. And the story goes that one time they were traveling, and they got into an inn, and Rabbi Yeshua ben Parasha, he wanted to say, what kind of manners the person in charge of this hotel is. So he told his Talmid, which is JC, Yeshu, that, please tell this person, thank you, I want to thank you for the nice lodging and the food. And he said also that, what beautiful eyes she has. And Rabbi Yishab ben Parasha got upset at him on this level that, he's trying to say, that we should say thank you out of good manners, and you're thinking about her eyes. That's why he pushed them with 2 hands. And the story is that he tried to come back to do teshuvah, pushed him a few times, and the 3rd time that he wanted to forgive him, he was saying Shema Yisrael, but JC, he thought that he was pushing him away again, and he went after there and became what he became. After this lesson, I heard this from Rabbi Beryl Wine, that he actually said this Mishnah, Have done kol echad lekav zechut, that if he would have given the kav zechut the first 2 times, maybe JC would not have become JC, and we wouldn't be in the situation we are today. Now, going back to our subject matter of this today's lecture is, we start with saying kav zechut. What does it mean to give every person the benefit of the doubt? There's a lot of stories around the Gemara where a person should have or could have given the other side the benefit of not the doubt, but he still gave the benefit of the doubt, and that's what made him what we made him. We want to specifically talk about the following story, and the Gemara brings the story down, well-known story, but for some reason it leaves out the names. We'll say the story over, we'll get to the names, and we'll see what it was that made this person who he was. Story in the Gemara that there was a person who lived in the Galil, in the upper region of Eretz Israel, and he was poor, so he went down to the south and he hired himself out for 3 years to he had a wife, and his wife passed away, and he was left with 3 kids, and he came to rent himself out. He didn't have any money, and he goes and works for somebody in the south, and after 3 years he comes to get his payment. Erev Yom Kippur, it says in the Gemara. To understand why he says Erev Yom Kippur, who cares when it was? Why not Sukkot? Why not Shavuot? Why not like Momer? Why is it Erev Yom Kippurim? He says, give me my money, please. I appreciate working for you, but now it's time to go back to my family, my kids, what have you. So this person, the owner, the Balabait, says, I love to give you money, but I don't have. So instead of this guy cursing him out, he didn't say anything. He said, so maybe if you don't have money, maybe you have some animals to give me. He's like, no, I don't have animals either. I give them out to be rented. So give me some fruits. No, I didn't give him maaser from them. So give me some clothing or, furniture. No, I don't have that either. I gave everything up to Leshem Shamayim. I swore it all to the Beit HaMikdash because my son, Horkunus, went off the derech, and since he doesn't want to learn Torah, I'd rather take all my wealth and give it to Leshem Shamayim, to give it to the Beit HaMikdash, because I'm so upset that my son's not going to learn Torah. Okay, that's where the story goes. And then this guy, this person goes back, obviously heartbroken, but every time he said, I don't have anything, 5 times, he gave him the kaf zchut. He went back, he didn't say anything. After he goes back, Yom Kippur, after Sukkot, we know that the owner comes back. The owner that owed the money, he comes with 3 donkeys loaded with, one is all the food, good food, the other one with wine, the other one with clothing, whatever it is. They came and they sat down and they drank. The guy, the one who was working for him didn't kick him out. How dare you come now? Nothing. Like nothing happened. He accepted it with love. They sat down and they drank and they ate. Everything is good. And he told them, when I told you I don't have money, what did you expect? When I told you I don't have any animals, what did you expect? I said this and this and that. When I told you I don't have anything, he said, I thought that you gave everything up to the Beit HaMikdash. He said, exactly what you said. This is exactly what happened. Because I was upset about my son, that he didn't want to go and learn, so I gave all my nechasim to the Beit HaMikdash. And afterwards, when I saw that my son, he became a chozer b'tshuva, he went and sat down in yeshiva. I went and nullified my vow, and I got all my money back. And here I am to give you the money. And that's where the story ends. Doesn't say with the Gemara who this guy was, who was the one who came, and who was the Balabait. Why is the Balabait is so hard on him? What, he can't give him some money? Okay, Ma'asarot. It takes a second. Go and Ma'asar your fruits and give it to him. What's going on over here? There's a lot of questions in the sugya. So let's start with the names over here, and we can understand why this happened, and why Hashem wanted this happen, and why this person, these people in the story, they passed all the tests to make this person to become what he became. We know that the Balabait, Rav Hai Gaon, the son of Rosh Gaon, with last of the Gaonim, he brings that in the Shaltiot, that this person who went and gave himself to work is Rabbi Akiva, none other than Rabbi Akiva, which at that time was an Amaretz. He was not a rabbi yet. And the person he went to work for is Rabbi Eliezer ben Erkonus, which later on became his Rebbe. Now we should know that a little background. We all know that Rabbi Akiva was married to Rachel, and Rachel, we know the whole story, how he went away for 24 years and then came back, and she made him what he was, came back with 24,000. Everybody knows that story. But before that, we have to understand who Rabbi Akiva was before that, and who Rachel was before, and why they married it, that all Torah Shebal Peh in the Zechut of Rabbi Akiva, and in effect in the Zechut of Rachel, because in the end Rabbi Akiva says that all the Torah that I have, or all my students, is because of you, Rachel. So we all know, or a lot of us don't know, that Rabbi Akiva, like we said in the beginning, was married first to another woman, and he had 3 kids, and that woman had passed away. Now we all know that also that Rabbi Akiva was an Amaretz. Amaretz doesn't mean that he was, illiterate. Although he didn't know alphabet, the Gemara says, but he knew how to put on tefillin, he knew what a kashrut was, he knew what it was. Back then, a lot of people were illiterate. They didn't know how to read, they didn't know how to write until they went to the yeshiva. And although he didn't like the Charedim so much in the beginning, but he still had midot tovot. He didn't throw away tefillin, he didn't throw away Shabbat. You know what it was? He was not literate enough to sit down and learn to be what he was. All this thing I'm bringing down and sources of Rabbi Baruch Rosenblum. Now, when he goes, but he did have something very, very special about him, although he was illiterate, and that was Midot Tovot. And the Midot Tovot was that he gave everybody a kaf zchut, and that's what we see over here. Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonus, when he worked with him, Rabbi Akiva worked for him for 3 years, he saw in this Rabbi Akiva a tremendous midah of giving everybody a kaf zchut. And since he saw that he has a lot of tremendous talent to grow, to be a big rabbi, and eventually, like I said, Rabbi Akiva became the Talmid of Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonus, so he decided that he's going to test him and help him mekaper all his avonot. Again, someone in his status could do that, because after 3 years of studying him, he saw that he could withstand the test. So he came and told him at the end of the 3 years on Erev Yom Kippur, which is a time of mechila v'slicha v'kapara. He says 5 times, I don't have. He says, give me, I don't have, I don't have. Any other person in the street would take a gun and shoot the guy. What do you mean you don't have? This is a joke over here? I'm working here for 3 years. Go borrow from somebody. And it's Erev Yom Kippur, Habibi. What is going on over here? I got to go out and feed my family. 3 years I'm working for you. But Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonus knew already that for 3 years, what kind of high madrega Rabbi Akiva is, which he wasn't a rabbi yet, but he had a midot tovot of derech eretz. And we know derech eretz is kadma le Torah. And that was a derech eretz of Rabbi Akiva that's going to be kodem the Torah, that is going to bring down the Torah Shebal Peh, which is going to find out in a few minutes how that happened. So he says 5 times. I wanted to add maybe, when I think about 5 and Yom Kippur, what does the 5 have to do with Yom Kippur? We all know that our cousins, they sit down and pray 5 times a day. Obviously, they stole it from the Jews. They took the holiest day of the year, where Yom Kippur, we daven 5 times during that day, asking for mechila and slicha and kapara. So I was thinking maybe why the story happened on Erev Yom Kippur, where Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonus is at Dafka on Erev Yom Kippur, which is the day of mechila, is testing him 5 times, that he should go into Yom Kippur already completely forgiven of his sins. And B'ezrat Hashem, with that midot tovot of being mevatar on his midot and giving kaf zchut, you could have a better Yom Kippur that year. And Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkonus himself is such a tzaddik that he knows the worth of the Torah, that he gave up all his money for his son Horkonus. He said, if my son's not going to learn Torah, what's all my riches for? What am I? I'm going to save my money for my son to go to Las Vegas and open a casino? I want my son to learn Torah. All the riches that I have, it's for Torah. What is it worth? And Baruch Hashem, we saw that when the son saw that he gave all this money up, his father gave all his money up to the Beit HaMikdash, he actually went and did teshuvah and said he saw how much his father is giving kavod to the Torah, and he finally got himself together and he came and learned Torah. But going back to Rabbi Akiva, when he went back, like we said, he was his wife already passed away, the first wife, and he went and he had to support himself, so he went and worked for Kal V'Savua. And we know that Kal V'Savua, we know the story that he had a daughter, Rachel. And this Rachel saw the midot tovot. I never understood what midot tovot did he see in Rabbi Akiva. But after I heard the story, after the story of 3 years in the south, and how Rabbi Akiva forgave like nothing and gave kaf zchut, his name spread out all over Israel. This Akiva, which was not a Rabbi Akiva yet, his fame grew. That is such a bal midot tovot, such derech eretz, and that's what Rachel wanted. Now I understand why Rachel wanted it. I mean, Rachel, such a princess. You have all the money, all the guys, Talmidei Chachamim are lined up for you, Kal V'Savua. You're the only child that, this is the only child that he had. Later on, he married another wife, with Rabbi Akiva encouraging him, and he had Rabbi Yochanan. But that's afterwards. Right now, all the money is going to Rachel. And Rachel wants to marry who? A simple shepherd. But this simple shepherd had derech eretz. And that's what we need, derech eretz, Kabbalah the Torah. So they got married. And of course, we know the story that when they get married, Kal V'Savua wasn't so excited as Rachel was, because at the end of the day, he still wanted a Talmid Chacham, and he wasn't there yet, midot tovot side. So we know that he said that he can't have any of my money, and they were disallowed from all the money that he had, and they went and whatever they had, they slept in a barn after they got married, and they were sitting and sleeping on cash, on straw. Comes one cold night, somebody knocking on the barn door. Rabbi Akiva opens the door. Of course, there's a ani standing there. He's like, my wife just gave birth. Can you please give me straw? Yeah, it's not like today when people go and give birth into a 5-star or whatever it is, and they go to a 5-day vacation. Baruch Hashem, that's what we need today. But back then, we used to give. This ani didn't have money to give birth, and for the wife to give birth. And Rabbi Akiva said, "Oh, see, my dear wife, we're so lucky that we have straw. Let's give our straw to this person to go and give it to his wife so he could give birth." So the question is asked over here that Rabbi Akiva, who's now learning Torah with encouragement of Rachel, and Rachel who gave up so much. This is the schar that they get, that even a little cash, a little straw that they have, that they can't sleep on at night. So a lot of people say that if it wasn't for that night, Rabbi Akiva would not come Rabbi Akiva. That was the biggest test of his life. And again, because of the midah of kav zechut, and giving up, even whatever he thinks is his, cash, a little straw that he has, even giving that away, that's what made Rabbi Akiva. How so? Rabbi Galinsky explains the whole method as follows. Rabbi Galinsky, which was one of the biggest Magidim, Rabbanim of last generation, explains as follows. What do you mean? Who is that ani? The Gemara says the ani was none other than Eliyahu Navi. Eliyahu Navi, when he usually comes to somebody, he's a giver. He comes to give good news. Whenever you see Eliyahu Navi, someone who's married to see Eliyahu Navi in a dream, he's coming to give him good news. He never comes to take. That's the Melech HaMovet. This is Melech HaBrit. This is the one who's invited Eliyahu Navi to the Brit Milah to give good news and to give Refuah to the child and to forgive all the sins for whoever is there. So what is Eliyahu Navi doing taking the straw? Hashem, maybe you should send another angel to take. This is the angel of giving. So in effect, Rabbi Galinsky explains, according to the Mishnah that we're going to be reading in Pirkei Avot, that one of the Tanaim Kedoshim, he mentions that in order for a person to get the Torah in his belly and to get it out and teach it to other people, he has to have a life of eating bread only and water and sleeping on the ground, sleeping on the floor. The Bartanah explains it doesn't mean that he should do that every day, but even if he gets to that point, he should still learn Torah and still, if he doesn't have anything, sleep on the floor. And that's what Eliyahu was doing. He said that Eliyahu was coming and saying generations before to Rabbi Akiva, he said that generations before, Moshe Rabbeinu, when he went to Shamayim, Hashem was showing Moshe Rabbeinu all the generations till Moshiach comes. And he saw Rabbi Akiva, and he saw what a brilliant mind he is. He's like, why give me a Torah? Give Rabbi Akiva the Torah. He says, be quiet. This is my machshava. You're going to give the Torah shemichtav, Moshe Rabbeinu, and Rabbi Akiva is going to give the Torah shebal peh. But in order for a person like that to give Torah shebal peh, he has to get to a level to sleep on the ground and say nothing, even if you take the straw under your head. And that's what Rabbi Akiva, the midah working himself, to give kav zechut, don't ask questions, and to give everything he has over for the sake of Torah. I remember reading a book of Rabbi Akiva used to sit. Back then there was no lights like we have today. When the candle went out, he used to sit in the darkness and do shakla v'tarya in his head until the early morning. That's what Rabbi Akiva was. He went from Aleph Bet, not knowing anything, to the biggest person that ever lived in his generation, that Hashem decided to give him the Torah Shebal Peh. So we see from all this how important it is, the midah of giving kav zechut, and to the midah of being ayin tova. Instead of Rabbi Akiva slamming the door on that ani, which is Eliyahu Navi, and slamming the door to his career, becoming the father of Torah Shebal Peh, he opened the door, he slept on the floor, he didn't say anything, and his wife, obviously later on, when they became the richest people on the earth, yeah, his wife got what she deserved. But even besides all the money that she got, that we just did this in our Gemara a few days ago, then he bought her the beautiful golden chain for Rachel, the Eshet Chayil, Yerushalayim of Zahav. She got much more than that. All the Torah that we're doing until today, until this speech, and until Moshiach comes, until forever, it's going to go in the Zechut of Rachel Imenu and Rabbi Akiva, because there were such midot tovot that we giving kav zechut and giving up for from their own happy times in order to learn Torah. So we should know that if you want Eliyahu Navi to also come and to be ambassador to us, the Sorot Tovot, Rabbi Akiva taught us how it is that we have to bring the Eliyahu in our times. Eliyahu Moshiach, we know that Moshiach, before he comes, Eliyahu comes and gives us the Sorot Tovot. The Sorot Tovot that Eliyahu Navi wants to come and give us only could happen if you have an Ayin Tovah. Ayin Tovah means that you have to be Kav Zchut. Especially in these days, giving Kav Zchut, not to scream at our wives, not to scream at our kids as much as we can. We have to be more of a derech eretz in our times, especially in these times. And B'ezrat Hashem, you're going to take, if someone has Ayin Tovah, whoever puts his own Ayin, if he puts his Ayin Tovah in the beginning, then that's how he's going to bring the Moshiach and Eliyahu. But if he puts his Ayin Tovah in the end, that's going to go from being onik to the word nega. Nega means obviously somebody who has leprosy. And if he puts his Ayin in the end, the Ayin, after the Nun and the Gimel, it becomes nega. Is going to be afflicted by leprosy, chas v'shalom, or being not rich and becoming an ani. But someone who puts the Ayin Tovah, like Rabbi Akiva and Rachel did, and they gave up the straw, and Rachel gave up all their money to go and marry this person with derech eretz, she put the Ayin Tovah of this person in the beginning, and the nega became onik. They had the onik and the pleasure of living a life of Torah, and becoming very rich also on top of it, but that they didn't care for. They became the richest people spiritually, that until today, every Mishnah we say Rabbi Akiva and his 5 Talmidim, and then who's getting all the schar? Of course, we're getting the schar also, but in the bank account of Olam Haba, Rabbi Akiva and Rachel, they're getting all the reward. B'ezrat Hashem, we should learn from this, and we should all have Ayin Tovah, especially in this day, to give each other the benefit of the doubt. And with this, we should be Zocheh to Eliyahu Navi to come to give us the final and the most important Besar V'Tov, Yeshua V'Nachamot, Moshiach Tzidkenu, V'Chesed V'Chaim V'Amen Amen. Shabbat Shalom Varach.